Have you ever noticed how much time and energy we spend trying to keep everyone happy? We try to manage expectations, smooth over conflicts, stay in touch with people, and somehow always be available. But sometimes the best thing we can do is simply step back. Sometimes the answer is to ghost everyone, not in a way that's mean-spirited, but as a powerful act of self-respect and self-preservation. When we ghost, we're not abandoning our relationships forever. Instead, we're choosing to press pause, to set boundaries, to give ourselves room to breathe. We're making space to understand what we truly need without the constant influence of others' opinions or expectations. When we hear the word ghosting, it often comes with a negative connotation. It's typically seen as running away, avoiding responsibility, or abandoning people. But in reality, there's a version of ghosting that is deeply personal and at times essential for our well-being. This type of ghosting isn't an act of abandonment, it's an act of self-preservation. Think about all the demands and expectations that are placed on us by the world around us, people expecting us to always show up, to always say yes to be there for them, even if it means stretching ourselves thin. We're conditioned to believe that we need to meet everyone else's needs, often at the expense of our own. But when we ghost in the context of self-preservation, we're making a conscious decision to step back and say, I need this time for me. Self-preservation means putting ourselves first, perhaps for the first time in a long time. It's not a selfish act, but a necessary one. It's recognizing that we can't pour from an empty cup, that if we're constantly giving without replenishing, we'll end up depleted, exhausted, and resentful. Ghosting as an act of self-preservation is saying, I am worthy of the time and space I need to recharge, reflect, and reconnect with myself. When we practice ghosting from a place of self-preservation, we're taking ownership of our own well-being. We're setting boundaries, creating space, and letting go of the obligation to always be available to others. This can be incredibly difficult, especially if we're used to putting others first or if we fear that people will feel hurt or confused by our absence. But true self-preservation requires courage to believe that our needs matter too. And the beautiful thing is that when we return from this period of ghosting, we often find ourselves refreshed and better able to engage in our relationships. We come back more present, more centered, and more connected to our true selves. In this way, ghosting isn't about abandoning anyone, it's about preserving our energy and our mental health so that we can show up fully when we're ready. We're not leaving anyone behind, we're simply prioritizing the relationship we have with ourselves. So ghosting for self-preservation is an invitation to put our needs first. It's a reminder that our worth isn't tied to our availability or how much we give to others. It's about saying, I am enough just as I am, and allowing ourselves the grace to take a break when we need it. In our hyper-connected world, disconnecting feels almost unnatural. We're constantly inundated with notifications, messages, and demands from our digital lives, which keep us intertwined with the needs, opinions, and expectations of others. The world seems to expect us to be available 24/7, responding instantly, and staying looped in. Yet this level of connectivity can lead to a subtle yet profound disconnection from the one relationship that matters most, the relationship with ourselves. Disconnecting doesn't mean abandoning your loved ones or shunning social interaction entirely. It's an intentional choice to step back, to unplug from external voices, and to create a quiet space where you can hear your own. By choosing to disconnect, you're making room to reconnect with your inner thoughts, your feelings, and the dreams you may have left dormant. It's a way to recharge and realign yourself with your values rather than being carried along by the noise of daily life. In the process of disconnecting, you might initially feel uncomfortable. There's a sense of unease that arises when we let go of the constant stream of information and updates, a worry that we'll miss out, fall behind, or disappoint someone. But that's exactly why this step is so necessary. Disconnecting allows you to step away from the pressure to keep up with everyone else's pace and to take time to reflect on what truly matters to you. When we disconnect, we start to notice things we've ignored, small inner voices and quiet nudges that can only be heard in stillness. We begin to understand what fulfills us, what drains us, and where we might need to set boundaries or make changes. It's in this quiet space that we can reconnect with our intuition, our values, and our sense of purpose. When we're constantly connected to everyone else, it's easy to lose sight of these things, to get caught up in comparison, or to begin measuring our self-worth by someone else's standards. Taking this time to disconnect allows you to reclaim your power. You get to decide what's worth your energy, what relationships to nurture, and which goals truly resonate with your heart. The process of reconnecting with yourself reminds you that you're not defined by what's going on in the world around you, but by the strength, courage, and creativity within you. The beauty of disconnecting is that it actually strengthens our relationships with others as well. By reconnecting with ourselves, we can return to our relationships more whole, more centered, and more grounded. And when we know who we are and what we need, we engage with others from a place of authenticity and purpose, rather than out of obligation or expectation. We're no longer simply reacting to life, we're living it intentionally. So remember that disconnecting isn't selfish or isolating, it's a gift you give yourself to get back in touch with your inner voice. It's a chance to remind yourself of who you are, what you stand for, and what path you want to walk. In the end, disconnecting to reconnect isn't just a pause in the noise, it's a powerful choice to live in tune with yourself and to prioritize a deeper, more meaningful connection with the one person you'll always have in your corner you. In today's world, availability has almost become a measure of worth. We're conditioned to respond instantly, to be accessible at all hours, and to make sure we're meeting others' needs on their timelines. There's an unspoken rule that if we're not readily available, we're somehow letting others down, or worse, failing in our responsibilities. But this relentless demand for availability comes with a steep cost. It often drains our energy, pulls us away from our priorities, and takes a toll on our mental well-being. Breaking free from this pressure to always be available isn't just about saying no or setting boundaries. It's about reclaiming our sense of self-worth and recognizing that our value isn't tied to how quickly we respond or how accessible we are to others. True value lies in our ability to engage meaningfully, to show up authentically, and to contribute thoughtfully, none of which requires constant accessibility. Think about how being perpetually on call affects you. When we feel pressure to always be available, it's easy to fall into a reactive way of living. We're no longer making choices based on our goals and values. Instead, we're constantly responding to other people's requests, needs, and expectations. We end up feeling stretched thin, mentally fatigued, and emotionally exhausted. Over time, we may even begin to lose sight of our own boundaries and priorities, blending our needs with the demands of others until they're almost indistinguishable. Breaking free from this cycle requires a shift in mindset. It starts with acknowledging that your time and energy are finite resources that need to be guarded and respected. Just as we allocate resources carefully in other areas of life, we should also be mindful of how and with whom we spend our energy. It's okay to pause, to take a step back, and to recognize that constant availability is neither realistic nor sustainable. This is where setting boundaries becomes essential. Boundaries are often misunderstood as walls that keep people out, but in reality, they're a way to create a healthy balance that benefits both you and those around you. When you're no longer pressured to be constantly available, you can be more present, more thoughtful, and more engaged. When you do choose to connect with others, you're able to show up as your best self because you're not running on empty or juggling too many demands at once. Breaking free from this pressure also opens the door to rediscovering your passions, hobbies, and interests that might have been sidelined. You get to decide what matters to you, how you want to spend your time, and where you want to direct your focus. Without the constant pull of others' expectations, you have room to nurture your personal growth, creativity, and mental health. You can spend time pursuing what truly brings you joy, whether that's immersing yourself in a good book, working on a project you love, or simply enjoying quiet moments of reflection. This shift isn't always easy. There may be people in your life who don't understand, who may feel entitled to your time, or who take your availability for granted. They might resist the change, questioning your decisions or expressing disappointment. But remember, breaking free from the need to always be available is ultimately about respecting yourself and protecting your well-being. You're not letting anyone down by honoring your boundaries instead. You're choosing to value your needs and mental health, which allows you to be more intentional and present when you do interact. Over time, as you make this shift, you'll likely find that the relationships in your life become richer and more fulfilling. By not spreading yourself too thin, you're able to invest more meaningfully in the people and connections that truly matter. Instead of feeling obligated, you'll feel empowered, knowing that you're choosing to connect from a place of genuine interest and presence, not out of a sense of duty or pressure. So break free from the pressure to always be available. Give yourself permission to prioritize your needs, protect your time, and create a life that's aligned with what truly matters to you. Remember, it's okay to step back and reclaim your energy, because when you take care of yourself first, you're better able to engage with the world in a way that's authentic, balanced, and truly fulfilling. In our busy, fast-paced world, it's easy to feel like our time and energy are slipping away from us. There are constant demands on our attention from work, family, friends, social media, and a never-ending list of obligations. We often find ourselves pulled in countless directions, trying to be everything to everyone until we're left feeling exhausted and stretched too thin. It's in moments like these that reclaiming our time and energy becomes not just a choice, but a necessity. This act of reclaiming is about taking ownership of our lives, defining our priorities, and ensuring that we're directing our resources toward what truly matters to us. Reclaiming your time and energy begins with the powerful acknowledgement that both are limited. Unlike material things, time and energy can't be replenished endlessly. Every hour spent, every ounce of energy given is gone. We can't get it back. When we recognize this, it prompts us to think more intentionally about where we're investing these precious resources. Are we spending our time in ways that align with our values, or are we giving away pieces of ourselves to fulfill others' expectations or out of a sense of obligation? One of the most effective ways to reclaim your time and energy is by setting boundaries. Boundaries aren't just about saying no to things we don't want to do. They're about protecting our space and making room for the things that bring us joy, peace, and purpose. When we set boundaries, we're not shutting people out. We're making sure that the time we spend with others and the activities we engage in are chosen with intention. We're saying, this is what I can give, and this is what I need to keep for myself. Boundaries are an act of self-respect and self-care, and they're essential for reclaiming our time and energy. Another key to reclaiming your time and energy is learning to prioritize your own well-being. Many of us are so used to prioritizing others that we feel guilty when we put ourselves first. We fear that if we take time for ourselves, we're being selfish or letting others down. But the truth is that we're more effective, more present, and more compassionate when we're operating from a place of fullness rather than depletion. Taking time to rest, recharge, and focus on what brings you fulfillment isn't selfish, it's essential. When you prioritize your well-being, you're not only benefiting yourself, but also showing up in a way that positively impacts those around you. It's also essential to look at how we spend our time and identify activities, commitments, and relationships that drain us. We often commit to things out of habit, fear of missing out, or a sense of duty, even if they don't add value to our lives. Reclaiming your time and energy means reevaluating these commitments and making conscious decisions about what to let go of. Maybe there's a social event that you attend every month out of routine, even though it leaves you feeling drained. Or perhaps there are people in your life who take more than they give, leaving you feeling depleted. By releasing these energy drains, you're freeing up space for the things and people that truly nourish you. As you begin to reclaim your time and energy, it's natural to feel some discomfort or resistance. Society often tells us that productivity and busyness are the ultimate measures of success, that we should always be striving, doing, and achieving. But reclaiming your time is about shifting your focus from merely doing to being. It's about recognizing that your worth isn't tied to how much you accomplish or how many tasks you check off. By slowing down and being selective with your time, you're affirming that you're valuable regardless of external achievements. Once you reclaim your time and energy, you'll likely notice a profound change in your sense of fulfillment and purpose. With fewer obligations crowding your schedule, you'll have more space to pursue passions, explore hobbies, and nurture relationships that truly matter. You'll have the energy to show up fully and engage meaningfully with life. This reclaimed time isn't just about doing less, it's about doing more of what makes you feel alive, connected, and authentically yourself. Reclaiming your time and energy is a journey, not a one-time act. It's a continuous process of self-awareness, reflection, and adjustment. As life changes, our priorities shift, and so must our boundaries. The goal isn't to live a life free from commitments or challenges, but to create a life where your time and energy are spent in alignment with who you are and what matters to you. So take a step back and ask yourself, where are my time and energy going? What truly deserves these precious resources? By answering these questions and making intentional choices, you're reclaiming not only your time and energy, but also your sense of purpose, joy, and inner peace. Remember, this is your life to shape, your path to walk. Make sure it reflects the person you want to be and the life you want to lead. In the constant rush of daily life, clarity can feel like an elusive ideal slipping away beneath the weight of endless tasks, distractions, and obligations. We live in a world that values speed, productivity, and multitasking, where there's often little time to pause, reflect, or take stock of where we're truly headed. In such a setting, it's easy to lose sight of our own goals, values, and even our sense of self. This is why creating space to gain clarity isn't just helpful, it's essential. It's a deliberate act of stepping back, of allowing silence and solitude to take root, so we can reconnect with our thoughts, gain perspective, and better understand the path we want to walk. Creating space isn't about simply clearing a physical or mental calendar. It's about giving ourselves permission to let go of the constant doing mode that dominates our lives. When we create space, we allow ourselves to switch from reactive thinking to reflective thinking. We move from responding to external demands to listening inwardly to what truly matters to us. In these moments of spaciousness, we can hear ourselves more clearly, discovering insights and feelings that are often buried beneath the noise. It's in these pauses that we reconnect with our authentic selves and gain the clarity we need to make intentional choices. This clarity doesn't just appear the moment we carve out time. It comes gradually, filling the space we've created with a sense of inner calm and purpose. Often it's in the stillness that our mind begins to sort through its thoughts, untangling knots of confusion and pinpointing what truly deserves our energy. In these quiet moments, we start to see patterns, motivations, and even sources of stress that we might otherwise overlook. By stepping away from the pressures and routines that consume us, we gain the vantage point needed to view our lives from a fresh perspective. This perspective helps us see our values more clearly, refine our goals, and recognize areas where we might need to make changes or set new boundaries. Creating space to gain clarity is also about giving ourselves the chance to realign with what brings us fulfillment and meaning. When life is a constant stream of activities and obligations, it's easy to get swept up in pursuits that don't actually resonate with us. We might find ourselves working toward goals that don't reflect our true desires or investing in relationships that don't nourish us. Without space to reflect, these mismatches can continue unchecked, leaving us feeling disconnected from our own lives. But by intentionally creating space, we invite a different type of clarity, one that reveals what feels right and what might need to change. We can start to differentiate between what we do out of obligation and what we do out of passion, purpose, or joy. In this space, we can also reconnect with our intuition, the inner compass that often gets drowned out by external voices and societal expectations. Intuition doesn't shout, it whispers, and without room to listen, we miss out on the wisdom it offers. By giving ourselves a break from the outside noise, we create the conditions necessary to tap into our intuition, to recognize what feels in alignment with our truest self and what doesn't. This clarity of intuition guides us, often showing us a way forward that feels more authentic and less influenced by the world's expectations. Creating space to gain clarity is a practice that requires patience and intention. It's easy to feel restless when we step away from our usual pace, as if we're not being productive enough. But clarity isn't a product of productivity, it's the result of allowing our minds and hearts the time they need to process, reflect, and rediscover. It's in these open, unstructured moments that clarity finds us, reminding us of who we are, what we value, and where we want to go. In the whirlwind of modern life, we often find ourselves maintaining countless connections, from social media acquaintances to professional contacts, while the relationships that truly matter sometimes fade into the background. Strengthening these core relationships requires intention and care, as these are the bonds that bring depth, joy, and resilience to our lives. These are the relationships that stand the test of time, offering us love, support, and companionship through all seasons. Focusing on these meaningful connections is about choosing quality over quantity and giving our energy to the people who genuinely enrich our lives. To nurture and strengthen these relationships, it's essential to invest time and attention. Life's demands can pull us in so many directions that even those we cherish the most can be left on the periphery. Making time for loved ones, whether it's a quick phone call to check in, a shared meal, or a planned outing, signals that they are valued. These small moments of connection build up over time, creating a foundation of trust and familiarity. By being present and making space for one another, we remind our loved ones and ourselves that our bond is worth prioritizing despite our busy schedule.